What's going on, everybody? As y'all already know, this is HyLite, and I'm here to help. So, welcome and welcome back. Now, what am I helping on today? Today, I'm helping today. I'm unlocking power. I'm giving you your power back. I'm making you aware of the power that you had and you use all the time. But now that I'm making you aware about it, now that I'm giving you this power, man, let's just get right into it. So today I'm talking about the power of perception and perspective. Now, what is perception? Perception is simply how you see the world. Everybody has this own story going on in their life. And funny thing is, you're the narrator of that story. You don't only get to apply meaning to what it is that you see and what it is that you're processing, but you can apply whatever meaning you would like. You can only apply meaning to things that benefit you, as well as you can only apply meaning to things that's to your detriment. The first step, though, is being aware that you even possess this power and that it's a real power that actually has an impact on your reality. If perception don't matter and the way you see the world don't matter, then how do we get the placebo effect? And for those unaware of the placebo effect is simply like if I give you a sugar pill and tell you it's medication, it's going to take your headache away. Because you think that and believe that when you take that sugar pill, nothing but sugar, the same thing that if you eat too much of it, it'll cause health problems, probably give you diabetes, high blood sugar, all this other stuff. That same substance, if you just believe on it and think on it in a different way, it'll show up different in how it affects your life. That's placebo effect, which stems from power of the mind, power of perception. It's not about this being a sugar pill. It's about, do you see it as a sugar pill or do you see it as medication? Now, moving on from that, let's get to perspective. What is perspective? Perspective is simply the reference point from which you're seeing the world, right? Now, this is one thing that we got to get an understanding on. You see in movies and stuff all the time like that, since from way back when people have these encounters with higher intelligent beings and all of that, and they always, one of the common questions is always, what's the meaning of life? I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to tell you what the meaning of life is. Here you go. The meaning of life is whatever you decide. And if that shocked you and surprised you, but let me tell you this. You've been doing it all along. All along, you've been doing it. You are the awareness in your life. You are the narrator of your story. If anything that happens in your life, guess who determines what it is? You. If it's something to be happy about, you determine that. If it's something to be sad about, you determine that. If you form an opinion on something, you determine that. Even if somebody else comes along and offer a different perspective on an opinion that changes your opinion, you still had to accept their opinion as more of a truth than the one you originally came up with. So therefore, you're still the one making it happen. How do you perceive things? It's highly important. Highly important. How you decide to view things can be the difference in victory and defeat. Perception, I'm going to just say perception is everything. How you see something, how you view it, how you interpret it, it all matters. Think about this. Say you was playing sports. Say you was playing basketball, you in a basketball tournament, and your team goes on to lose in the first round. Immediately after the game, you probably pissed off. You upset, a little disappointed, wish things would have worked out better. But now that that's happened, now that you're dealing with the issues, the next part of that is finding comfort. Because that's always what people do. You're going to find comfort in the situation. So what do we most likely do? Most of us, we hope That team that beat us in the first round put us out, we hope they go on to win it. Not only do we hope they go on to win it, we hope that they end up beating every other team worse than what they beat us. Why? Validation. Validation. Because in our mind, we can make up the story, or we feel validated in making up the story that, hey, at least we lost to the champs of the tournament. And at least we didn't lose as bad as everybody else. So now that validates us, because if we didn't lose as bad as the rest of y'all lost, how can any of the other people that lost say anything to us? We played the championship team better than everybody. You know what that is? Just a power of perception. That's all it is. I give you one even better, right? And bear with me. But this for people who have lost somebody that they love and care about. Now, if you in the corporate world, I don't even know if this is just in corporate world, but this was the first place that I heard it, is they say that there's a bereavement period. I didn't even know what that was, but apparently bereavement is like grieving, right? So you get a grieving period. The fact that that's even something that's a thing shows that somebody believes we have a certain degree of responsibility for how we decide to feel. Because who's going to tell you you got a certain period to grieve? I just lost somebody I love and care about. This could be my mama. This could be my favorite cousin. This could be my brother. This could be... How you going to tell me how long I have to grieve? But even besides that, think about when you have lost somebody that you love and care about. How does that go? How does that go? I just talk from my own personal experience. This is how it's always went for me. First you down about the news, sad, extremely sad, hurt, just toe up. That's how you feel. Just toe up. Then you spend days like that, probably, maybe weeks. Then all of a sudden, you make the switch, you make the decision that, because the first thing that you are sad and crying about is, I miss this person. Sad that they're no longer here. I'm getting sad thinking about the memories that we created. I'm more sad that we don't get to create more memories and stuff like that. That's where your mind is at. That's how you're thinking about it. That's perception as well, though. Look at how I'm thinking. Everything is sad. Everything is lost. Everything is without. And then, once we reach a certain period in the grieving, nothing has changed. The person that we lost is still gone. We still lost them. But some point, we make the decision to look at this different. We no longer looking at all the memories. We no longer looking at all the things that's gone with this person that we'll never get to experience again. Now we start to think about, but you know what? At least they're in a better place. I know they lived a good life. At least they had a full life. At least they're not suffering no more. At least they don't have to put up with the dramas and all of the BS of this world anymore. Why do we do that? To find comfort. That's why. But just look, it's not even about why we do it though. It's about look at what we do. We're talking about somebody passing away. We're talking about death. What's more extreme than death that we go through in everyday life? What's more extreme? Is there any stress, any problems, any issues that we go through in everyday life that's more impactful and more emotionally disturbing than somebody you love and care about passing away? I don't think that there is stuff that we go through on an everyday basis that's on that level. So I said that to say, if you can take death and simply choose to view it in a certain way, and because you choose to view that in a certain way, it no longer controls your emotions. It no longer hinders your thoughts. It no longer keeps you in this little shell and cocoon to where you can't function the same in society. And so when I see that, I offer this question to you. If we can do that with something like death, why can't we do the same in everyday life? There's no stresses and no issues that we're meeting in everyday life that are as strong as someone passing away. So if we can do it for that, we can do it for anything lesser than. At least that's the logic. But this is not to talk down on nobody. This is to help. So I'm going to give you the answer to that as well. The reason that is more difficult in everyday life is simply because your perspective is off, as well as your perception. Life is going to happen. Things in life are going to happen. The difference between life happening and when something happens with death is because when something happens with death, you're pretty much on your own schedule. You're on your own time frame. For the most part. For the most part. But when this real life stress stuff is happening, it's usually something that you have to deal with in real time. Usually while you're dealing with something else. But let me tell you where the mistake lies. The mistake lies because we haven't prepared our perception and perspective to be from a place that we want before we encounter the problems. That's part of the issue. Remember, I told you perception is how you see everything. Perspective is where you're seeing everything from. So even if I'm somebody, let's say I'm somebody who believes in God. I believe in God. For those wondering, I do believe in God. I don't believe in God in the way that they've been teaching in the church and all of that, but that's a whole nother, for another, right. So, yes, I do believe in God. I believe God is all powerful. I believe that nothing is too big for God. I believe that as long as you connected with God, then you get all the perks and benefits of being connected with God. So, being connected with God is my perspective. That's where I'm seeing the world from. That's where I'm seeing my life experiences from. So if I'm seeing them from that perspective, what could possibly be too overwhelming for me? If I'm just viewing my life from the perspective of somebody who believes in God and knows that God's in control and knows that nothing is too big for God, why should I ever worry? Why should I ever stress? Why should I ever be frustrated? Why should I ever be fearful? Why should I ever not feel secure? Why? Just a simple question. Just a simple question. And one of the issues that we have as people is our perception and perspective on its own is not strong enough. We spend too much time giving external credit for our perspective and our perception, or we allow external things to influence our perception and our perspective too much. Too much. And because that's the case, we're giving our external too much power. We're giving it more power over us than our internal. And that's why we become a victim of our own perception. You're supposed to always, if your perception and perspective is that God is in control, He's the head of your life, He's the one who's giving you everything you need to thrive in this life. Not survive, thrive. Then you're supposed to hold that perception and perspective at all times, even when you go through something. I'm not supposed to go through something with the stress and frustration of a human being who don't believe in God, who don't believe in the all-powerful. If I really believe in the all-powerful and He's here in my life and He's protecting me, He's guiding me, then any frustration or stressful situation that it could be that I go through, I know this is to my benefit, but I don't feel overwhelmed. Why? Because God's in control. I'm not making it through these issues on my own accord. I'm making them through the power of God. So if you had the power of God, what would be too much for you? What would be too overwhelming? What would be too stressful? What would be something to make you afraid? It's simply about your perception and perspective. And to take that even further, it's not just about once your perception and perspective becomes ingrained in a certain way, that becomes your identity. And that's the point you want to get to. You want to get to the point where your perception and perspective on the world, how you see things, is always to your benefit. And when you stay like that for long enough, that becomes your identity. Therefore, nothing that you ever go through or experience can actually bring you down, because you're always going to see it from the proper perspective. You're going to see it from the perspective of anything bad that happens in my life, I already know God's going to take care of it. Anything good happening in my life, I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to be grateful. As well as, because I know that God's in control, and because since God is in control, nothing can destroy me, nothing can hurt me, nothing can touch me. I'm going to be grateful for the bad things that I go through as well. No, I didn't want to go through it, and no, I don't know why I'm going through it. I just know and I believe and I perceive that whatever this is I'm going through is going to be to my benefit. I'm either going to learn something, I'm going to show how strong I am, I'm going to show that how durable I am, I'm going to show that I'm not going to be deterred, I'm not going to be conquered, I'm not going to be dominated. You can always find... Boss, what are you doing? That little guy back there, he's him. Shout out to the dog. Much love to the pet. Alright. But yeah. So you want to basically get to a point to where you're identified with these positive and beneficial perceptions and perspectives on life. Not only do you have the power, it is your responsibility. It's your responsibility to shape your life. You're the one who gives your life meaning. You determine what it is you're supposed to feel from these experiences you go through. And you're the one who decides how appropriate it is for you to feel these emotions at whatever intensity you would like to feel them. You give it all meaning. You give it all purpose. And this is just a introduction type topic. I'm gonna be making way more videos on the power of your mind, and power of perception, power of perspective, as well as I'm gonna try to do a lot of videos that I really feel will be helpful in actually breaking down the real world experiences that people go through, how they're negatively affected by them, and how to spin that, how to look at this from a positive light. Because like I said earlier, if we can do that with something as final as someone passing away, we can definitely find other ways to view these little things that we go through on an everyday basis. So that's gonna be all for the video today. I am HyLite. As always, I'm here to help, and whatever you guys have questions, comments, whatever, leave it in the comments. Y'all already know I'm gonna read them, I'm gonna get to them, and I will be hitting y'all back. So until the next time,